Alright, here's the thing. I didn't want to get into this too deep because I wanted to save this subject for a future video, but after what happened, I gotta get this off my chest and just rant. As some of you may know, I've been busy with projects in Blender. To those of you who don't know, Blender is a free 3D software that allows you to not only animate, but also create 3D models for usage. You can make amazing 3D art with it. I got models I've been working on, and I've been stuck for who knows how long now. Some models I had for maybe 9 years. I've been putting a lot of time into figuring these things out. Blender isn't something you can master on your own. I've had an issue I've been stuck on for so long. I've been in a specific Discord server to get it worked out, asking around, etc., but as usual when it comes to the Blender community, things turn to shit. Apparently, you can't be lost and confused. Apparently, you need to magically learn this shit. What's funny is people in this community treat others like shit and bitch and moan how people are rude to them. Let's take a look at an example, shall we? I was getting fed up with everyone. I had a guy being an asshole to me, and did help me with a problem so I didn't have to interact with him anymore. I was about done with that hellhole that day. It was gonna go back to working on my own and just leave the server. Like, just stop talking to everyone and just leave. Expressing how I'm looking forward to being done with this server when my projects are finally done and over with. I couldn't stand it there anymore. I then say, oh, and thanks for nothing, because when I try to get help, it instead turns into an argument, I'm apparently an idiot, blah blah blah. So I say, thanks for nothing, because I go for help, and I don't get a lot of help, mostly just grief and insults. Then what happens next is what I find so amusing. A guy says, 150,000 thanks for nothing. Oh, gee, another person told us thanks for nothing. Gee, I fucking wonder why. Your server is about helping people. Helping those who don't understand and help them with their problems. But when your support staff gets shitty or can't help them, what do you expect? To be worshipped? If you're gonna give people grief, they're gonna give you grief right back. Thanks for nothing because you didn't do jack shit to help. I would know. I ask for help and I get harassment, called a retard and an idiot. And next thing I know, I get this message from a Valkyr Jabot or whatever. Hello, you have been issued a formal warning by the moderators of the Blender community server for the following reasons. Rule 1 violation. Playing victim / insulting others in help channels when providing clear and consistent help from other members for a Blender issue they've had / still are experiencing. We understand the frustration of a project having a problem. Yeah, but that's not the fucking issue here, now is it? It's your damn staff insulting my intelligence instead of fucking helping me. They treat me like shit and I'm the one getting warning from the moderators? I have every right to play victim because I am a victim. What you claim to be an insult is just the truth. I wasn't even talking about my project being frustrating on that day. Sure, was I expressing it was a little annoying, like I brought it up while I was talking? Yeah, I was going on how they all treat me like shit, and I'm just about done. They harass me instead of helping me, and yet that's me playing victim when their messages are right there in black text. You can see it, you can read it, plain to see, yet I'm the asshole. I'm the problem. That's not even the entire issue. There's actually more to this. There was a guy who I thought was actually sane in this shit asylum. He actually managed to solve a problem I've been stuck on. I liked him. He was actually kind and didn't insult me right away, but actually knew what he was talking about and instructed me. He actually knew what the situation was, and in a manner of speaking, sat me down and just said, this and that's the issue, and this showed me what the problem was. He actually went straight to the point. And he even made a video to show me how he did it to fix my model. He actually made an entire video to show me how to do it. I can actually learn from watching him. And he didn't insult me. Straight to the point. Actually knew what he was talking about. That is the kind of thing I wanted. That's the kind of help you should be getting in a support server. A place where everyone, like, you're supposed to get help. That's how you do it. Now you're probably thinking, well, that's nice. At least not everyone of the community is a douche. Well, I'm going to stop you right there, because here's when shit hits the fan. So as I watched this video, it was pretty clear he made mistakes. He even tells me this, that he eventually fixes the problem. But I wasn't aware what were the issues and when they got fixed. But he doesn't show the problems and doesn't fix it until much later down the line. So I thought it was my end having problems because his looked fine, but mine wasn't. How was I supposed to know? He never properly addressed it. He mentions he made mistakes, but doesn't really tell me when or on what. He is actually a confusing guy to talk to. I was going in blind. Who does that in a tutorial? Imagine you're watching a tutorial for Dark Souls or something, and a person just kept dying over and over and over as he tries to accomplish the very thing he's trying to teach you. It's like, why did you keep these things in the video? If he slipped up, he could have just edited out or restarted the tutorial so he learned from his mistakes and can act on it sooner instead of having the video go on and on as normal. Like, the problem is there. While you're going through it, like, oh, I messed up here. It's gonna be confusing if you just keep going. If you keep in your actual, like, experience with it, it's gonna get confusing. I don't want to sit there and watch that because it just makes things more difficult on my end. What he should have done was just stopped right there, be like, okay, this is where I slipped up, start over, and record again, and this time fixing it immediately so I can see, like, okay, that's supposed to happen. That happened on accident. And that's what you're gonna do when you're trying to attempt this, and you're gonna make this little mistake. So to fix that said mistake, you just do this. Simple. So yeah, you could just edit out so you learn his mistakes and act on it sooner instead of having the whole video go on as normal. Also, another problem with his video is he goes too damn fast. I mention it and he agrees he did go a little too fast. I had to slow down the video to the lowest setting so I can see everything. Sure, he had the setting that shows keys he's pressing and all that, but due to him going so fast, it's gone before I can even properly read it. So that's another red flag, a big no-no. Yet he kept going anyway. Again, not so helpful, but at least it was easily fixed by changing the speed of the video myself in settings. But that means it'll take longer to watch. So as he was doing his thing, my model started having weird issues. I copied him, but in the video it looked fine, but in mine, I can see it was sinking, like some parts were going down, there was like a big gap. It looked like a little pool, like you could just pour water in it. And I just didn't see that on his end. So I brought it up to him. Doesn't really answer my question, just tells me he fixes it later, which does not help the confusion. As I'm watching the video, it goes on casually, no fixes whatsoever. I look at mine and it's not getting any better. And since I wasn't aware of what's going on, and since he's unaware of the issue, and at the angle you're looking at through the camera, it looks fine at that angle. But if you like went up and turned a little bit, you would actually see it. But at that angle, everything looks like normal. Everything looks fine. But because he doesn't move. And he does that like much later. And since the video is slowed down, it gets a little longer to get to that point now that I think about it as I'm saying this, which makes it feel like it drags on even longer. There are even points that I did actually have to turn the speed back on just to get back to a certain point if I go back, because it's like, it's taken 2 times as long. So, in the video, he's unaware of the issue, and it looked fine. Hence my confusion, and I grew frustrated. Like, I was, like, getting irritated, but I wasn't, like, angry. Like, the reaction was just like, you have got to be kidding me. Again with this shit? Why can't anything just work out? This is, like, cut me a break. I'm trying to keep the frustration bottled up because Blender is just so difficult for me, and after struggling with it for so long, it's just immediately, like, as soon as something happens, just snap, just immediately, just frustrated. And I'm just not letting it grow because it's like, if I get angry, shit's gonna hit the fan, you know? I'm gonna have issues here. And I grew frustrated because Blender loves to pull that shit on me, always doing things different compared to other people. I have no patience for Blender. Not anymore. So I go to him. He told me there was manual adjusting, but I wasn't seeing it, unaware he doesn't do it later down the line. Again, I wasn't aware. He didn't communicate to tell me. He did not properly communicate. He just tells me he messed up and fixed it. To me, I figured he fixed it after the recording or something. I don't know. I was confused. His video was hard to understand. So I tell him I don't see any manual adjusting and ask why it's not working for me. I did what he did exactly. I was trying to be as accurate to him as I could. It's the same model in the same version of Blender. So the fact I got different results was getting irritating. I expressed I was getting pissed off. But like I said, I wasn't like angry yet. It's just like, you gotta be kidding me kind of thing. Like, this shit again? I wasn't enraged, but I was getting irritated. But I wasn't raging in DMs or anything. Just expressing it was pissing me off. I expressed it like Blender was going out of its way, saying the piece of shit was going out of its way to make things harder. I was just talking to him. I'm not angry. But he just says no, he's done doing this, we're using the same software, bye. Then blocks me. And before I wrote this script, I did end up talking to him. 2 a.m., the 21st of November, 2023. Just saying that date so you know when. Because I know I'm going to get this video uploaded like a day after, knowing my dumb ass. He did come back to explain something to me because I was watching the video, and he did something I didn't understand. And I was just expressing this, like, he's not going to talk to me, because he just completely ignores me now. And I'm pretty sure he was, and I did bring it up, okay, I'm going to go back. He did come back to explain that to me. He did explain that what I was doing was this. And I forgot what brought, let me bring it up. But I brought up in the chat we had, because it was part of the conversation. I'm pretty sure he was playing dumb. He's like, I answered you, but I told him I'm referring to DMs. You know what he told me? The jackass tells me he was done with my, quote, outbursts. I say quote because it wasn't even an outburst. I'm talking to him. I told him multiple times about the problem. I wasn't even ranting. I was telling him I was getting different results, and he calls that an outburst. I wasn't even talking in text or anything like a text. Yeah, I wasn't talking in text. Wasn't talking in all caps or anything that shows I'm angry. And it feels like he's. I lost my point of thought. Right, outburst. And when I talked about it again, I'm pretty sure he's playing dumb because he acts confused when I bring up DMs. It feels like he's trying to avoid bringing up the situation in front of everyone. Maybe to avoid looking like a dick and he's not as nice as he made himself out to be. I tell him I'm talking about DMs and not his answer about a key I was asking about. He then just says, we're done here and to come back if I have any more questions. Completely avoiding the subject entirely. Clearly not wanting to be pointed out he was overreacting. That's my guess. I tell him it wasn't an outburst, and he ignores it. I just lost respect for him, and after today's interaction now, I just don't respect him whatsoever. He may not be a direct asshole like the others are, but that doesn't mean he's, like, any better, you know what I mean? Like, you're not like them, but you are like them. Like, you're not being a direct asshole, but you're being an asshole. And you're overreacting. I just lost respect to him. I thought he was the only nice one there, but proved me wrong fast. Overreacting to what I was saying. Do I get annoyed with Blender? Yes, but it was no outburst. I'm getting sick and tired of getting insults instead of answers. There is poor communication in the Blender community. People who start it are the victims, not you. When they treat you like shit and you express anger, that's your fault, not theirs. It's irritating. I just want people to help me. Instead, I'm identified as an idiot, a retard, and so on. Questions turn into arguments. It's ridiculous. It's a support channel, and it turns into a fight every fucking time I'm in there. I'm seen as an angry asshole, but I have every right to be angry. Not only do I have to deal with Blender being a pain in the ass, but I gotta deal with people being a pain in the ass. It baffles me when I point out they treat me like shit, and mods have the nerve to say I'm playing victim when I am the fucking victim. They treat me like shit, and I'm not the victim? I get a strike because I'm pointing out how they treat me? It's outrageous. Getting a simple answer out of these people is near impossible. After what happened, I had to get this out, just get this all out, just get it off my chest. I didn't want to go too deep, like point out names and so on, just to rant a bit. Because after the mistreatment I've been getting lately is just getting on my nerves. I need help and I hardly get any. Not without a fight, at least. Word of advice, if you ever thought about getting into 3D, just don't. The community is harsh. Really harsh. If you're new, then your opinion is irrelevant. If you're having trouble and you just say, I don't think this works, it's irrelevant. Stay away from the Blender community like the plague. You will be insulted just for being new. They're the victim for helping you. It's a burden on them, and they gotta help someone who is struggling. When you start, you're gonna be looking forward to the day you're done so you can finally get away from it all. Blender users are drama queens and are aggressive for the dumbest of reasons. You wanna know more? Stick around. In the future, I plan on going through my entire experience with Blender and its community and what I went through to get to the point that I'm at when I'm done. This wasn't even scratching the surface of what it's like and what I went through. So stick around to find out. I'll be doing this in the future. When? Depends when I ever get this done. So I hope you enjoyed my little rant and got a good idea of what I've been dealing with for the past few years when I mentioned I've been doing Blender. And this is just a taste of my experience, my pain, my suffering, my curse. So I'll see you guys in the future of whatever I do. And keep an eye out for my tale of woe in the future. Farewell, everybody, and I'll see you all in the next one. Farewell.